The Aniimo closed beta test has reached its conclusion, and now development is shifting its focus entirely to the game's full release. But one thing that hasn't changed is the ongoing communication from the team, bringing us even more details and updates. Hello friends, Sarah Sunstone here, and welcome back to Thinking Out Loud. Today, I'll be sharing my thoughts on a new series of official questions and answers from the Aniimo team, covering topics of special events, new Aniimo, AI, and more. The team has even shared the total number of Aniimo planned for the full release, so stick around through the video to find out more. In the case that you're unfamiliar with this upcoming creature collecting game, I'll have some additional content linked in the description to bring you up to speed. Please shine that lovely like button if you're excited for Aniimo, and make sure to subscribe to my channel with your notifications on so you don't miss out on updates, gameplay, and more. Otherwise, without any further ado, let's get right into it. So today we'll be covering weeks 3 and 4 of the Aniimo Q&As, and this time I've selected just some of the questions, specifically the ones that are brand new, because there were actually quite a few repeats, and also those that will apply to the full release of the game, not just the beta specifically, since that's now over. So question number 1 asks, do you have any plans on implementing cultural events into the game in the future? And the team responded by saying that they are considering many different types of events, including some related to events happening in the real world calendar. I think this would be something really awesome to look forward to. I know what's celebrated globally varies significantly, depending on where you live, but having some events that tie into certain celebrations and seasons, I think would be really awesome, just to have that link from our lives into the game world, even if it's just inspired by some of those themes. Question number 2 asks whether AI was implemented during the development of Aniimo. The team responded by saying that they will continue to answer this, since they do understand that people are concerned about AI design and it is a sensitive topic, but their stance is that they believe people will only love something that comes from human hands, not artificial ones. And their development team at Paw Print Studio is full of very talented humans. Every Aniimo and the world of Idle are very special to them in their unique way, so AI will not be used to design their Aniimo, nor will any AI prototypes be used in Idle. AI is now helping the team in several ways, for example with testing, but it's not imagining the world of Aniimo for us. So this answer is very much in alignment with what I'm personally looking for when it comes to considerations like this for a game that I will be supporting and playing. It's definitely one of the hottest, most controversial topics, at least in the current landscape of gaming, and I think it's important to note the difference between generative AI and other AI that's used in most video games. So to make a very big and long conversation short, in case you're unfamiliar, generative AI is problematic because it steals art from real artists and replaces the jobs of artists. But other non-generative AI systems have practical uses in software development and are included in the development of most video games. For example, systems that govern NPC behavior or enemy AI, physics engines that allow in-game assets to respond dynamically to the game's environment, and sometimes procedurally generated maps, just as some examples. So not all AI is bad AI, and based on this answer from the team, it seems like they are firm against using generative AI specifically, which would replace human creativity. They specifically said this is not being used to design the Aniimo or anything in the game world, which is excellent news. Question number 3 asks if the game can be fully playable in multiplayer to enjoy the story with friends and explore seamlessly. For example, chests opening for everyone, not only the host. The response from the team is that they'll try to provide this type of experience, but it might take some time. But they know how the players are feeling, and they're also enjoying the multiplayer gaming experience so far, so stay tuned. I do want to clarify here that almost everything is possible to experience in multiplayer. I feel like this kind of made it seem like it's more limited and restricted, but you can basically do anything together. You can explore the open world, you can battle and catch Aniimo. You share your loot for the most part, like no, you can't all individually open the same exact treasure chest, but if you do open that treasure chest with your friends, everyone shares the loot and everyone gets the same amount of loot. The same goes for eggs. If you find the eggs out in the wild, you'll all get that egg. The only exception for this was forageables, which I would definitely like to see that changed for the full version of the game. I think forageables should also be shared. But yeah, there's really not too many limitations to the multiplayer system. You can visit each other's homeland, you can freely travel around the map, you can fast travel, you can see where each other is on the map as well. Like, it's very well designed in my opinion. I did also experience some story beats while I was with friends playing multiplayer. I don't think they saw those as well, which I actually liked, because then if you're at different places in your storyline, you're not getting like looped into wherever your friend is at, especially if there's spoilers. So I actually personally would prefer to not have the story shared in multiplayer, unless I guess maybe you could specifically start a save file together, like maybe, but I kind of prefer the system where you can share all the gameplay features together, but experience the story on your own pace. There's also trading. You can trade Aniimo, you can gift Aniimo, you can emote, like there's a lot going on here. So I just wanted to clarify that and make sure that is well known that the multiplayer experience is very feature rich. And I didn't even talk about the special modes for multiplayer like Egg Heist and some of those hollow battle sims. So I personally, just my personal take, I think it's awesome. There's only a few little tweaks I would like to see adjusted. So question number 4 asks about the Aniipods, which is the item you use to catch the Aniimo. There are different types of Aniipods. So there's like the basic ones, and then there's a bunch of additional ones that get better and better, as you improve them. So the person who asked about the Aniipods is essentially concerned about weekly limits for obtaining the Aniipods. They understand that some limits are very reasonable for some of those higher tiered Aniipods, but they felt that some of the limits for the more base quality ones were a bit too restrictive. I did think this was interesting because I had such an abundance of the first 2 levels of Aniipods that I didn't even need to buy any more. I literally had hundreds of these things just from picking them up around the world. But some of those Aniipods that are between the lowest and the highest tiers, the middle ground kind of ones, I could see the limitations on those ones potentially being a little bit problematic. I personally didn't run out of any of the Aniipods, except for the highest tier, which makes sense because to guarantee a catch is so OP that it should be limited for sure. But this matter really reflects the balancing of the game. And while I didn't have issues with the Aniipods, I could see perhaps those who were playing a lot more and catching a lot more Aniimo than I was, running out of those middle ground kind of Aniipods. So the team said that they have noticed the design has some negative impact in the current test, and the Aniipods are an important item in every Pathfinder's journey. So they will consider extending the number of ways to get Aniipods, such as using credits or from open world exploration. And currently everything is still under discussion, so please stay tuned for further updates. But they do think having a limit on Aniipod Ultras or similar strong resources is important. I'm sure they gathered tons of insights and data from this test to get a better idea of what might be the perfect kind of balance between how many Aniipods you can acquire without making the rare ones too common. It's all a balancing act, right? And this goes for essentially every realm of the game when you're exchanging resources for other resources and you're trying to get rare items. There's balancing like this in every game for so many different mechanics. So I'm sure they collected lots of data from this test and will fine-tune that for the full release. And speaking of balancing and odds and such, the next question asks, what are the odds of catching sparkling Aniimo, and is there a way to increase these odds? So the team responded by saying that the odds of sparkling Aniimo is a rough number, and it still needs to be fixed as they run more tests, but you can try cultivating the ecosystem to increase the sparkling odds. And this is something that I checked out in the beta, but I didn't actually get a chance to try. As you collect lumen amber from around the map, and you can do this in tons of different ways, there's little mini games, there's little quests, you can find specific Aniimo that have been blessed by the amber, and when you catch those, you'll get amber from them too. So there's lots of ways to catch this amber resource, and then you take that lumen amber, you infuse it into the branch, and as you accumulate more and more of this resource and infuse more and more into the branch, you unlock different perks for yourself and the map. So this is actually how you increase your stamina, but you do also unlock other features like the ability to change the weather and also to increase the odds of sparkling Aniimo spawning on the map. The next question asks if there will be options to have more than one save file in the full release, and the response to this is that currently the design is to have one save file per account. However, a lot of Pathfinders are asking for multiple saves, so they will consider this possibility in the future. I personally have no idea how you would manage more than one save. This game is so expansive. There's so much to do. If you really wanted to see it all, you have your work cut out for you, even if you just have that one save file. I suppose perhaps there could be an argument where you and a family member each want to have a save file under the same account. In this case, I would just suggest making another account, right? You can still technically have multiple save files if you make different accounts. You would just have to log in and log out of each account before playing, if that makes sense. So there's still a way to have multiple experiences with Aniimo, but we'll see if they change that system at all in the future. The next question asks if there will be breeding or if we will just collect eggs that will hatch. And the team said that currently this is not in their plans, but it is under discussion, and they'll let you know if anything changes. I absolutely love the hatching mechanics, how you can collect eggs and then incubate them and hatch them for, surprise Aniimos. I think that's so fun. It's also a way to unlock Aniimo that you haven't even encountered yet on the map. My personal opinion is that adding breeding mechanics would really complicate things because there's so many different variants of the different Aniimo. There's the regular ones, there's the special special weather ones. There's the regional forms for the different Aniimo. They have different stats. They have different labels. Are they good? Are they elite? Are they perfect? There's so much going on with each individual Aniimo. Never mind all of the resources you put into the Aniimo to upgrade them and improve their stats and such. So I personally feel like to add breeding to this would be a lot, and I don't know what the benefit would be for us. I mean, if you could, put different traits together to make a whole unique type of critter, that's cool, but just with how detailed every individual Aniimo is and how many variants there already are, I could imagine the complexities of mixing a thunderstorm NIMBY with one of its regional variants and then figuring out what that would create. And well, it's definitely interesting to consider, and it's probably why they're talking about it. I feel like I have more than enough to dive into in the game already. Now, the next question asks, how often are you planning to add new Aniimo to the game? And very excitingly, and I guess surprisingly for me, the team said that after the game has officially launched, new Aniimo will join at every major update. So although we don't exactly know how frequent that will be, we don't know how frequent their major updates are going to be, it's pretty exciting, and it makes me wonder too if they'll have Aniimo that specifically tie into certain events or seasons. I think that'd be really charming if, the update has a specific theme and then those Aniimo fit that theme in a certain way. And speaking of seasons and events and all of that, the next question says that the in-game events are fun, but the main problem for them is the fact that they're scheduled in a short amount of time. So does the team have plans to extend the time frame for these events or repeat the events multiple times so you have multiple opportunities to experience them? And the team responded by saying this is the first longer-term test that they're holding, and they think it's important to figure out how long an activity should last. They will seriously consider extending the length of current activities in the future. I definitely noticed that the events felt very rushed in some cases. Some of them were longer, some of them were shorter. I personally just interpreted that as the timeline for this specific limited closed beta test. I didn't think that would be a reflection of what they would be at the full release. I thought it was a great way for us to experience a little sample of a bunch of different events in this short time frame. And because we are not keeping any of our progress from the beta, I wasn't overly worried about completing everything or missing things here. So I do hope that the shorter time frame for these events was specifically for the beta and that they will extend that for the full release. I think that would be great. And then the final question for today asks, how many Aniimos are planned for release? Not including alternate forms. So not including the regional variants, the weather-dependent variants, the sparklings, the darklings, just the base types. And I was actually so surprised by this answer, not just the amount, but honestly just the fact that they shared a number with us. I thought maybe they would give a generic oh, there's gonna be a lot or something, but they actually gave us a number. So the team responded by saying that they're aiming for the number of Aniimo at global launch to be around 120, but the final number is still changing since they come up with more ideas every day. So that is actually crazy. That means there's going to be about 40 or so new Aniimo that we didn't even see in this beta, in addition to all of the ones that were there, which was between 80 and 90. I personally didn't discover every single one. I didn't want to. I got a really great idea of the variety there will be, and I got to experience lots of different abilities and Aniimo types and such, but I didn't want to spoil every single one for me for the full release. So to know that there's going to be around 120 in the global launch, with additional ones being added in future updates, not even accounting for those regional forms, the special weather variants, the sparkling types, the darkling types. That is actually wild and very exciting. As always, I could not be more excited for this game. So there you have it, friends. That was the latest new information about Aniimo, but the developers have shared plans to do even more Q&A sessions, which I will be sure to cover on the channel, so definitely stay tuned for more exciting updates. As always, please feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments, anything and everything. I always love hearing from you. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and until next time, take care.